at City Centre to kick things off on Oasis. And the London Spitfire will be in the blue, belied by their jerseys.
It's one of the arguments where teams that are weak just continue to play it, is because you have to be able to play it. Right now, Overwatch is in such a state where it's like rock, paper, scissors, where, you know, it's kind of like being in a position if you can't play it, where you have to, you know, always throw a losing hand out there. Profit falls early. That's a huge pickup here, is they lose their Zarya London, so you have to back up.
Profit very much caught out of position there, dying on the wrong side of that choke to the Uprising. And now they control a bit of space. They will play close. The Uprising would love to inflict more casualties on the Spitfires. They try and approach the point itself. No real key ultimates being approached yet.
I mean, you play close here because Color Hex has an advantage in terms of energy, an advantage in terms of ultimate charge, right? So you play aggressive, you know you can build these ultimates faster, get an early fight win. Fusion's going to have this Earth Shatter. We show the graphic how good he is when he uses it.
Look how far ahead of Jester he is, man. Jester halfway to that ultimate of Bergeron gets picked off again. Now the Uprising surge forward. And they're looking very solid. We talked about how long it can take some teams to work on their 3-3, and this is about as stock standard as it comes.
And you don't even have to use an ultimate to win the fight. So you come back in the next fight, you have your Transcendence, you have your Shatter. It's like if you use one of those, I mean, look how far away Profit is from his grab. Like, Bedosian's going to be forced to use Transcendence, keep everybody up, give them a chance. If they lose that fight, and Color Hex doesn't use the grab, then you have a great opportunity to win 2 fights if you're Boston.
Fusions have done about 3 times the damage the Jester's been able to. The Spitfire haven't been able to maneuver in position to actually do the fight. Color Hex working around the side, he's well charged up. Oh, she thought he would cute there straight into the wall, but it's Fury is going up against one of the most prolific eaters of Graviton Surges in the Overwatch League. And now Boston Uprising, without that key engagement tool, they're going to have to improvise. Fury straight into the grab, though, over the top. RCK defensive self-destruct to claim Gesture, but that's all Boston will be getting.
It must be so awesome to have Fury on your team. Like, when you're at an ultimate disadvantage, when the other team has that Graviton Surge, where it's like, just think about how much trust you kind of put in it. Bedosian uses the Transcendence early to just keep Gesture alive, so you don't have anything when the grab comes down. You're just trusting that Fury can come up with an eat there with his defense matrix, and he does.
And Color Hex attempted to make sure it wouldn't be eaten by firing it into the wall and not into the mass of London Spitfire players, but even that wasn't enough. Fury far too canny to be caught out by that kind of trick. 78% plays 30 though, and the Uprising still have a decent lead, but do not have a lot of ultimate abilities to work with. So they'll play it slow and try and trade in the neutral here.
Color Hex again though, getting closer to this
massive
grab. Now big shatter, the sound barrier does come down, but there'll be a self-destruct over the top there from Fury. Connects with Blase, Fusions falls as well, so Boston has no chance but to back up. So something interesting that we saw towards the end of Stage 2, especially in the playoffs, is the different uses of self-destruct. Like, we don't really see it thrown into those Graviton Surges anymore. We see a lot of the times when the team gets Graviton Surge, they use the self-destruct to prevent any follow-up, which also gives them an opportunity to use their Transcendence more offensively. Right there, you see Fury using it on the offensive end, following up a big shatter there from Gesture.
For the Boston Uprising, they're still trying to work into some of those ultimates, but it's just the Transcendence for Persia here, and they've taken so much damage already. They do not want to have to use this Transcendence for a frivolous cause, but they may not have a choice. They're running out of time now, and the London Spitfire are at 82% in this round, and Color Hex will try and bear down now with full charge. Profit, his bubble's gone. Here comes the grab. This time it isn't eaten, and the entirety of the Spitfire are caught up in it, but the Transcendence was right there. Self-destruct defensively once more from RCK, but this time the Spitfire see it coming. And the Uprising are forced to play back into the choke, but they've got only 3% to work with here, and Gesture is waiting to shut this one down with an Earth Shatter. No connection though, it misses, but Fusions is still claimed by Fury self-destruct, and RCK's mech is gone. The London Spitfire are going to force the Boston Uprising away, and there's not much Boston can do. They have to push in, but Matt, they're down to 2 players, and overtime has already begun. Persia's not going anywhere. Very cute, but not enough to get rid of the mech of Fury. That will be the round.
Yeah, we talked about RCK playing the Sombra before the game, and then I was trying to kind of take the other side of the argument of where you lose like a fantastic D.Va player with Note, right? Sending him out. And I think, in that first round, there's a big difference in terms of D.Va players. Obviously, when a lot of players go against Fury, you're going to be on the losing end of the D.Va battle, right? But RCK with 3k damage at the beginning, for the whole first point. Fury puts up 5,600 damage. I mean, a huge difference there. One ultimate negated, obviously. 2 self-destruct kills. Big first point there from Fury for the London Spitfire.
Now, slow start for London, but they were quite patient, really, even with Gesture, you know, having done a fourth of the damage that Fusion's had. They were to build back to the point now. Boston, despite having quite the somber player on their team, again, opt to not go for that one. It's going to be standard.
I mean, I think it's just because eventually you're going to have to play this. Like, eventually you're going to get to a situation where you play Sombra, they'll counter it, right? And then you want to counter them. You're going to end up in the spot that Boston's in anyway, so you may as well start out. You don't want to be on the losing end of the ultimate economy.
Right. So they're trying to cut out the middleman. Well, get straight to the point.
In this meta, it's so important to be able to hold on to your heroes and not change and, you know, have all that ultimate economy stayed up. That if you lose a fight, let's say, and then you're now switching everything up, you're really like 3 fights behind. In a game mode like Control, that's the game. So it's very difficult to come out on something different.
This is great presence of mind from Quartermain, by the way, consistently denying the high ground away from Boston. First it was Colorhex fully charged on the high ground. He was knocked down, and now the rest of them knocked to the ground once more. A huge connection there with that Earth Shatter. And London clean up comfortably.
So we'll see. Boston can make something happen on their attack here.
They're not too far behind in terms of ultimate charge. Fusion's a little bit lagging behind Gesture, perhaps, but really, it's about it.
What, you see Rally come out from both teams, right? Now, let's say if Color Hex gets the grab and decides to use it. No defensive self-destruct here, sound barrier. So, I mean, you're in a pretty good spot if you're London to extend this long enough, obviously for Prophet to get a grab, but also Gesture to get another shatter out of this.
Prophet in a great spot right now. Perhaps Alamon needs to think about trying to get him off this high ground and make him more vulnerable. Zarya obviously a little bit weak in between her bubble cooldowns, and she can sort of avoid that by staying out of line of sight from this high ground. Prophet won't give this up for anything. RCK, though, if he can laser him down, he won't have to worry about a defense matrix. Prophet sends in the grab anyway. There will, of course, be a Transcendence to respond, but that would have been expected at this point by the Spitfire. Alamon caught up in the wall. Persia going down. And remember, the Spitfire still remain in control of the point, and the Uprising are in no position to argue with that right now.
Well, they do get a pick on a Gesture, and you do have the Shatter, but so much damage going down on Effusions, they have to back up. You lose your Zenyatta as well, so you lose the Discord, the damage advantage, right? You know, kind of running into the other team that has the Zen, and you don't have one available. Puts you in a tough spot. Must-win fight here for Boston. Really their best chance to flip the point.
Got to be a good grab, but Colorhex can't see many of the Spitfire right now. Needs to wait till more of them come and challenge on the ground. He goes for a risky graviton to the backside, but the timing was good because that was where the self-destruct was coming through from Fury, and he couldn't have negated it anyway. Gesture, though, swinging forward. That's a Discord orb on Colorhex. Nicely applied by Bidoshin, and it was easy for Gesture to work him down. 92% for London, Matt, and Boston. They've lost yet another fight. They've lost every fight this round, and they're not going to get back to this point in any kind of time frame. Fusions is out of position. And that'll be the week to burn down. There's not much to be seen or done here as the London Spitfire take Oasis away.
London looked dominant there in map number 1. Boston, they come in with the new support core here, but did not work out. It was all London Spitfire here on Oasis.
Map 2 is just around the corner. Strap yourselves in. Much more Overwatch to be played.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Into the iris. Into the iris.
You guys thought about what you'd want to do after you're done playing?
저는 근데 게임 쪽 말고 아직 생각해본 게 없어요.
You're just gonna game forever?
Yes.
Today on Access Granted, driven by Toyota, I'm picking up Profit and Nuss from the London Spitfire, where we're going to talk about their epic championship run last year.
Profit with 2 kills, 4 already.
How did you guys start getting into video games?
저는 사촌 형 때문에 스타크래프트를 처음 시작했어요. 같이.
What is it like living in the house with everybody? I noticed you guys have like a huge house.
저희 팀 숙소는 항상 시끄럽기 때문에 재밌어요.
Yeah, let's just feed the ducks.
Let's go.
Let's go, big boats.
Be good.
The big goose. We're getting our own big goose today.
Welcome, my big goose.
Is there anything like this in Korea?
야, 서울에 한강이 있는데 어떻게 이게 없을 수가 있냐?
한강을 왜 가? 내가 오버워치
밖에를 안
해야지.
나가니까
오버워치 해야지. 한강을 언제 가?
That's just like to stay at home.
저 수영을 못 해가지고.
Little goose.
비둘기가 될 수가 없지.
Little goose. You guys following us? Look at him go. So doing this makes me realize I play way too many games as well.
Good day.
You guys worked hard paddling the boats? No.
No.
Yeah, next time.
I'll try.
It was great to get out today on the paddle boats with Profit and Nuss and talk about their journey into the Overwatch League. That was Access Granted, driven by Toyota. We'll see you next time.
You think you could have given him maybe like a set of
Hey, man.
oars or something
Look.
to help?
Look, I got the call sheet. The call sheet for that said that the players were paddling the boat. As soon as we got there, the players were like, we ain't paddling the boat. So I decided to paddle the boat with my coffee in hand. It was fun though. I had a great chat with those guys. They're a ton of fun.
It was a swan, by the way.
Nah, goose, swan. You know, I'm friends with all animals. They don't really.
How do you see animals when you spend all your time inside?
Oh, it's a very good point. Very good point.
Map number 2, Horizon, Matt. But let's double back
Yeah.
a little bit on some of what we discussed in map 1.
Yep.
Talking about, Boston having made changes to their team and incorporated a bit of Sombra play last stage, but now they've been forced to play at a standard 3-3 and they're just not looking great.
Yeah, I mean, you get into this thing where, look, you can win playing Sombra, right? I mean, we've seen teams win. Shanghai does a great job playing around the Sombra play. But eventually, it's not gonna work. Like, there's a reason everybody plays with the 3 tanks and 3 supports, because it's, the better strat. Where I think teams that can't out 3-3 another team, I think Sombra is a great way to do that. Sombra, EMP, takes away everybody's abilities. How do you get an EMP really quick? You just farm up on tanks, right? It's a pretty nice strategy to fall back on. I just don't think it's something that you can win consistently against your, I think you can run through the league with it. You beat San Francisco Shock 3 maps in a series playing it? I don't think so. Can you beat Vancouver? No, I don't think so. So I think when that's the goalpost for a lot of these teams, I think you decide, hey, we need to just get better at this.
Boston briefly converging in the corner just to use the ability, third-person view of their shield bearing heroes to see what Spitfire had set up on the high ground. London want a challenge though, but the damage trades have not favoured them early. Gesture's getting battered, and he's forced to retreat quickly back up the stairs, but Quartermain somehow wasn't fast enough. Now the Spitfire may have to stand their ground a little bit more here, but great time to do it. Fusions gets absolutely burnt to a crisp. Fury able to stave him off there, and Quartermain will be back real quick.
I love watching Fury's POV. You see, he's able to help them burn down Fusions, then turn fast enough to be able to save Bedoshin there up on the high ground, who's getting pressured by RCK. So you see Fury actually drops down, just takes a few shots from Color Hex, and they'll actually use the repair pack to just get Bird Ring over the top in terms of making sure they have that rally for the next fight. So let's see what Boston decides to do. It's a big fight win for London because they're allowed to get Gesture back in.
I like this. They're getting aggressive speed boost use now as the Spitfire want to make the engagement and the Graviton surge with a connection. Blase won't be kept alive by the Transcendence as he has turned into mush up against the wall, and Gesture has the shatter. He'll save it. Keep his shield up for the time being.
And that's the worst thing. Well, we see it from Gesture's POV, but when you're the offensive team and you got a little bit of that transcendence left and your Reinhardt's walking backwards with the shield, that is, you know, when you use those abilities, especially the transcendence, the rally, you want to get aggressive. You want to push the pace. They get sucked up in the grab, though. Nice pin from Gesture. Give London the player advantage at the start. London knows that the Graviton Surge is in play here for Color Hex, so you're not going to push this right off the rip here. You're going to wait a little bit. Be a little bit more patient.
Color Hex able to accrue 50 charge as the Uprising cross the breach, now on a point A. Spitfire will use the high ground, but again, mostly he's just a diving board to try and get aggressive, but look how much damage Gesture took as he dropped down. The Uprising were ready for it this time, and London couldn't really pull a fast one on them. Fury's going to go in now, try it for an Earth Shatter here. Gesture does connect it. Good little charge in towards Fusions. He tried to set up for the self-destruct kill, but maybe a little bit too much. Both Fusions and Gesture are both down now, and Color Hex is on the point charged up. Discord Orb expiring as it was removed from him, but now Transcendence from both sides. They want to fight this. Yeah, they're really committing to this, the Boston Uprising now, and they'll have to hope it's not going to be all for naught. Fusions has an Earth Shatter, but he's nowhere to be found right now. He still needs to get to the point, but as Spitfire have to contest right now, they could be in an awkward position if the point is captured and they're here. Sound Barrier used, 3 players benefit from it, and Persia goes down to Quartermain. Color Hex low, he's down.
And I thought London was over-investing in that fight, but what they did is, so they end up using Fury's self-destruct, right? They pick up Blase with it. Then they kind of juggle the point, so to speak, so you have the Diva coming in and the Zarya just kind of trading back and forth. StarCK has to jump off the side. Fury out of mech right now as well. But what they do is they build enough time for Quartermain to get the sound barrier, and they burn so much time that you still have people coming off the respawn now. So now Gesture's back in the fight, Fedosian. Then they come back, they give up the 2 ticks, they land a big sound barrier on the point. Gives them an opportunity to potentially full hold.
The Uprising again approach in much the same fashion, try and keep as much distance between them and London as possible as they get to the point. Color Hex, Graviton almost online once more, and he needs to wait for the Spitfire to drop or at least play together. Right now they're split between high and low ground, and a grab would only be half as effective if that. Alamon down though, Quartermain finds him, once again opening up the fight here. Be a charge into the wall, Gesture's caught out by that one, but the Transcendence is timely. Oh, this is quite the light show, I'll be honest. Self-destruction, both teams going into the backside. Fusion's there, it's a big shatter. 3 players knocked down, it was Gesture able to pick himself back up. He's got a shatter of his own, it's effective. Color Hex is knocked down, and now it's Blase to try and hold on here. Alamon isn't too far from the action, but he's got no friends to help him, and the London Spitfire will hold off here. Quite the explosive start on Horizon Lunar Colony, but London, they are out of reach of the Uprising so far.
Such a nice play from London, from Quartermain, Prophet, and Fury, able to stay alive long enough to build the sound barrier, allow Gesture, Fedosian, and Birdring to come off of the spawn and get that full hold. We'll see if Boston can match on their defense right after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Ultimate is charging. Healing boost.
London Spitfire looking pretty sharp right now, at least up against the Boston Uprising, who don't really have their swans in a row.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah. Just need to make
And
that distinction.
stage 3, you're coming out on fire.
Oh, mate, you have no idea.
Re-energized with
Don't
the
even
break.
my Final Four. Match of the week coming up, though. NYXL versus the Spitfire. That's going to be one to check out. Monday, June 9th, 12 p.m. PT. Twitch, ESPN app, Disney XD. Be there or be a very, very sad nerd. Instead of a happy nerd.
Both
Be
there.
joining us.
Sunday. It's going to be lit. So, both teams coming out. Nothing surprising here. If you're London, why change off of this? I mean, you've been winning this mirror matchup the whole series thus far. Just see what approach they decide to take. Would say they want to play quite aggressive. Oh, no, actually, they kind of fake them out. They want to now go underneath. Trying to get them to drop from the high ground. They're trying to bait somebody in.
And we've seen teams play this style against bunker comps as well. You do. You're right, mate. You want to draw them in. You want to deny long sight lines, but Persia's found one anyway. Persia coming across from Talon Esports, who played in Pacific Contenders, by the way, which is, again, a very interesting transition for him. I mean, Quartermain's also had a huge journey. I mean, I know Wolf would normally have touched on those things by now if you were here, but we'll get to it. Some real young talent coming up here, but so far, the Spitfire are just biding their time. They have so much of it to work with.
It's hard, too, because Bedosha now is to come through the choke, where you have to get aggressive when he starts to move through, or else RCK is going to just go solo him off.
Now make their way through. Even with Lucio Speed Boost getting dropped a little bit here, it's still very easy to take teams by surprise by bursting forth from out of line of sight and jumping on them. Gesture, big hit there. That might have been a fire strike, and it might cost him. RCK is not going to let him get away with this one. Alamon with the finish. Persia sitting in the back. Fury trying to trace down and go 1-for-1. But good peel for the Zenyatta of the Boston Uprising.
Yeah, Gesture wanted Fusions pretty bad there. His Fusions was pretty low, ends up getting a ton of the resources, the repair pack and whatnot, to keep him up. And then at that point, he was actually like LOS from Birdring there for a little bit, so you could actually see Birdring trying to make it around the corner to try and hit him with a repair pack. He was just too weak. Nothing he could do there.
And you saw him get chunked down. The fire strike is the main source of burst damage available to these compositions. So,
to be fair, I mean, the first fight really doesn't go London's way anyway when you lose Bedoshan at the beginning. So that's really kind of like their first fight of the game here. You built up some ultimates, though. Everybody pretty much going to have their ultimate on both teams.
They haven't wasted any ultimates yet, the Spitfire, so this still stands them in good stead. Oh, Gesture, he gets shield bashed. It looks like that was the follow-up with an Earth Shatter from Fusions, and they throw in the self-destruct to boot. Not only that, but they save the grab for the next fight, and the Boston Uprising are rationing out those key abilities quite admirably.
And we'll see how London decides to play this next fight, whether they try and take that high ground or whether they go for the low. As on the offensive side, they do still have, I mean, they're going to have 4 ultimates, right? So you could come in, you could do something like where if they shatter London and you connect the shatter, most likely you'll see the sound barrier or transcendence come out from the Uprising. And then you have an opportunity to use your grab, your own sound barrier, which probably forces out the other support ult that doesn't get used. You have an opportunity to get a pretty big grab.
I mean, London may have to use everything to win this fight, but, I mean, if they use it all and get nothing, then they're in deep trouble. Here's a sound barrier as the grab comes in. Transcendence to respond from the Uprising. Fury, self-destruct. Oh, he gets 3! It looks like the Earth Shatter didn't even connect, actually, and yet still, Fusions, Alamon, Color Hex, all burnt down, and that should decide it. Now the Spitfire can mosey over onto point A and start to capture. Fury will keep RCK occupied on the high ground for the time being, sitting here. And he knows his team are looking very, very good going into half-time at 2-0. Switch to the Wrecking Ball now for Fusions. He's forced to back away from the point. RCK also slapped back off. And with Color Hex falling to Quartermain, Persia will try and peek in from this side. But the moment Fury turns around, he's going to have to head for the heals. And that'll be about that. Alamon low. Persia down. And now Fusions has no healers. That'll be enough for the London Spitfire. Heading into the break at 2-0. And again, Fury. Big bomb. It looks like Fusions' shield was just broken by raw damage there. Whatever it was, he got the job done.
So Fury, 5 self-destruct kills here in map number 2. As London, they know this is an important match. We saw how difficult their schedule is. They want to take it. They want to take it in a 4-0 fashion. Try and get the clean sweep. We'll see you guys soon, but halftime coming up after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Into the iris.
London bounced out in the quarterfinals of the Stage 2 playoffs, but today they're starting pretty strong in Stage 3, up 2-0 at the half over the Boston Uprising. Welcome back into a very rowdy Blizzard Arena, everybody. It is Friday night. We've got some great games and some fantastic analysts to break things down for you. We've got Zoe, we've got Sideshow, two analysts who predicted the Boston Uprising to win this match.
Don't
But
worry
we
about
don't
it.
talk about that.
Don't worry about it. Boston Uprising, they always deliberately give up the first two maps, and then they reverse sweep. We've seen it over and over
He
again.
does have a good point there. He does have a good point there. But Zoe, coming into the day, we were all really excited about the tank matchup. We knew Fusions for the Boston side has been doing work all season long. And then, of course, we have Gesture, who has been doing it for 6 stages up to this point. What did they show you in this first half?
Well, see, the thing is, Fusions has been doing a lot for his team, and I do think that the London Spitfire have been noticing that, and that's why they specifically shut him down. So much so that Fusions, that poor lad, actually didn't even manage to get a single stun out of a single Earth Shatter he had.
Yow.
He has been completely and utterly shut down by their opponents. He got booped left and right, always out of position and always taken out very early into the fights, which of course didn't really help the Boston Uprising. On the other side, we had Gesture having the time of his life. In fact, every single Earth Shatter he had did end up with a kill, and that is quite a feat actually. Not too many Reinhardts managed that, and I mean the numbers speak for themselves. Fusion really had a rough time there. Like that was a tough one.
Josh, you look sad. Yeah.
That's pretty one-sided, honestly.
Your boy's getting battered.
And it's weird. When you look at the rosters that both of these two teams have fielded, you'd think the story of this game would be about the new people that we've seen. Persia for the first time, Alama for the first time, and then Quartermain for the first time on London as well. But it really hasn't. It's just been about London playing fantastically as a team. They have looked really coordinated. And we always say London are an inconsistent team. You never know quite what they're going to be able to bring. But they've slotted in really nicely here with Quartermain. It doesn't seem like they've really made that much, it's had that much difference. But they're so well coordinated, so well prepared, and they now look like they're a force to be reckoned with here in Stage 3.
Are you excited to see new faces here in Stage 3? That's definitely been one of the highlights for me in the second half of the season.
I'm really excited to see where Boston Uprising decide to sell aim got to, because that's always their plan, right? Like Boston Uprising are just they pull people in and then they sell people for way higher after they've made them.
They're the only team where that works, actually, though. I think they're more like a business kind of thing than
It's
an
weird,
actual team. They're just trying to, get the most of it. It's working. It's
Hey,
great.
they saw an awesome Brazilian. They brought him into the lineup. Love seeing it here today, guys. We got 2 more games to go, potentially 3. Does this go to a Game 5?
Statistically, we would have to say yes. And to, save face in our predictions, we also have to say yes. So,
Yeah,
but
realistically,
London
though,
looked really good.
London look really good. I think what I actually want to see from this match is London being fantastic and being able in Stage 3 to contest the big 3 teams. I just want London to be back where they were towards the end of last season, where they can be a team that can win the championship.
Well, now is a time to solidify that spot on the leaderboard. Can they clean this one up with a hot 4-0? We'll find out with the second half.
So one of the biggest challenges at the beginning was like to understand each other in game.
That was like really tough for me at the beginning because my English was like really poor.
Talking about strategy was kind of tough. Most of the callouts in game were fine.
That everybody knows, even though you are not really comfortable in English, like left, right.
Forward, back, behind. That's easy. But when you got really get going deep in strategy, it's kind of tough.
Into the iris.
Well, grim tidings coming from New England, and the Boston Uprising struggling in this series up against the London Spitfire, and they're just, you know, we talked a lot about like the you know, the kind of comps they're trying to play. I think it was very well pointed out how much Fusions has been nullified in general. I think a lot of that's been set up by Birdry, looking fantastic on the Brig as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult when you're the Reinhardt player in this type of meta, as you're relying on, obviously you're relying on the speed boost from Lucio, defense matrix usage, bubble usage, and like if one thing goes wrong and the other team gets the advantage,
the whole
start
house
pushing you back,
down.
oh, it's a nightmare. So, you know, a lot of it, we don't really know what goes on with Boston, like who's calling the engages, who's calling, you know, when the cooldown should be used and whatnot, but right now, put Fusions in a tough spot.
I mean, on the other side of things, I think Quartermain has been looking really, really good. I can't wait to sort of see, you know, as the weeks go on, more statistical comparisons that come out. We see him up against Nas, and now he's performing very, very good on Oasis, especially University denying a lot of that high ground away. Gardens, should I say. Doing a good job of making it very hard for Color Hex to be in the position that he wanted to be in. I mean, Quartermain's been around for... I mean, I saw him playing in 2016 for a team called Big Blaze. He's even played on Samsung Morningstars with a group of Italian gents. So, you know, this team is... this player, should I say, has been around a heck of a lot. So
you think Boston can pull off this reverse sweep, like how the halftime crew was so confident in? I don't believe it.
I think it's pretty unlikely on a map like Eichenwald, especially.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Especially,
they really have to opt into playing the same style that they have for a fair bit of this. If they go with something, I mean, they won't go for this. See them switch off straight away.
Probably not the triple tank solo healing break Genji 76. Not the ideal comp.
Also, Quartermain, by the way, used to play on the sister team of a lot of the Kongju Panthera players, Kongju Uns here. So there's a ton of history going back here. He just seems like a great fit for the Spitfire. So I look forward to seeing more from him. The London Spitfire will start on defense here, and this could be a short one. Boston are going to have to go to the tried and true, the old faithful.
Yeah, and I think in this meta as well, like with Lucio players and like supports being like, you know, taken out on some teams and moved around and whatnot, like Lucio's really kind of calling your engages. You really have to have a good grasp of the overall game and where it's at. Like knowing when you see a Reinhardt who's weak, that they're not really weak because you have repair pack bubble matrix on the other side. So you have to have really high game sense. It's, oh, nice move. You see, Fusion. Yeah, he ain't living through that.
Straight in the trash compactor. No way he couldn't have got away from that. And to piggyback off that point, Matt, I think that's why London Spitfire, their speed boost plays are looking so good. Quartermain, not only is he moving Fusions forward like he did just there, but we've seen a couple of times where London have sort of played out of line of sight, and they've sped forward and, you know, jumped on an individual player and picked them off very quickly. So they're really getting a lot out of their Lucio player right now.
So we see Moth do that a lot. You know, the displacement, you know, go high off the wall, slime as well, you know, being able to knock players back, especially the Reinhardts, right? Just nudge them out of position. Shatter there from Gesture. Doesn't connect to anything.
No repair pack available for the next couple of seconds, so Gesture seems to cool these heals for a moment. But RCK getting desuited Fusions. Well, at least he met his fate head on. Again, the Uprising will be repelled.
Yeah, I mean, look, your Diva getting D-Mech there, it's huge. I mean, you don't have all of that matrix, the mitigation, just all different types of damage coming through on the Rhine. So as soon as RCK gets D-Mech, Fusions dies right after. So this will be a huge fight for Boston. Rally, grab, barrier, right away. It's a nice again, profit coming down early.
Not worried about that getting eaten up because there just probably wouldn't have been enough time to respond.
And they get Fusions out of it, right? So now you've burned your own trance. You got nothing for it. No Transcendence still available here for London. So.
And maybe if Transcendence doesn't get used, the Spitfire have to chase for more kills there, but knowing they got a kill and a big support ultimate, they don't need to put any more on the table. 1 minute 40, Matt.
You know, what do you hear of your Boston? You have to probably rally in, right? You know they don't have rally. They probably try and kite it around this pillar with the speed boost.
You have to hit a rotund grab, a huge one.
Yep, here's the rally, speed boost out, yep.
Okay, so Fusion's creating space here. He's moved up, but that Earth Shatter from Gesture didn't quite come off the way they would have liked it to have done, and Vidoshin, without the protection of the shield of Gesture, will go down. The aforementioned will follow. And on Spitfire there, again, not using too many ults of their own outside of Gesture's failed attempt to shut the Uprising down, but Boston are on the board, and they're on the road.
And Color Hex picking Vidoshin there is huge because Vidoshin does have Transcendence, and he's actually trying to cross over by Gesture because what they could have done there is like maybe baited them in a little bit, where if the Boston Uprising would have pushed forward, tried to go after Gesture, you could have used the Transcendence. Now you're collapsing on them from both sides because you had Fury and Prophet coming in from the house behind them, trapped them in there with the Transcendence.
But it puts you in a position where you do have to split yourself into those two pizza rounds, right?
Yeah, I mean, you do. Self-destruct coming over here. Oh, and they're going to sound barrier. They really want to get through the choke here.
Yeah. Getting out of this part, it's quite an angsty part of the map for the attackers, and Color Hex is going to even use the Graviton Surge. So much investment, and it may not be enough. The sound barrier being thrown out there, letting Spitfire stave off this huge commitment from the Boston Uprising. They want to take it slow, Boston, nothing personal.
If you're London, you just play close. I mean, you've been dunking on him the whole game. I mean, just play close. You got the Graviton Surge you use here. You see Prophet doing his this sneaky stuff.
He'll get spotted out here. Can he get away with this?
Yeah, he can. Why not?
Fusion's forced out of this one. Transcendence is going to be used by the Boston Uprising. They're forced to use all of their toys before they even get out of the house. And again, London say, okay, well, that's all pretty and stuff. We'll just back up.
I mean, Boston ends up using the Transcendence to save them, and they have to use Rally.
Oh,
London,
they have no
they
support.
just now back on up here. They're going to get this Transcendence.
They just need to cling Shatter, and they get two. But Ocean and Birdering both not down, but Gesture keeps the shield up. He was discorded, though. There it is. Boston now have no ultimates left. They need to get a kill here, and they do. They push straight over the top of Gesture, and London are forcing Boston to dig deep, in all fairness, and there's still a lot further to travel on this stage of the map before they get a time extension.
Yeah, they burned a lot of time here, though, if you're London. So, although you do lose that fight, a lot of time goes off the clock, a lot of ultimates from both sides. The Earth Shatter actually connects with Vidoshin, so you don't have the ability to use that Transcendence. Fury actually does a really nice job going all the way back using Matrix to prevent RCK from just picking him up on the ground. Still, you didn't have anybody else survive there for London to be able to come back with that big ultimate.
It was a big shatter. There was no doubt about it. Looks like Gesture just had his shield down for a moment. RCK self-destruct, still caught Quartermain somehow. He was just
like
on the edge of that little...
of the building, yeah.
Must have just been clipped by it. And now the Uprising will punish here. The Spitfire are forced to play in the small choke area. Gesture is trying to keep his shield alive for as long as possible, but Color Hex just lets rip with the Graviton here. Transcendence now for Vidoshin. He wasn't stunned, so they're able to use it. Alamon's going to get up on the corner, and now Transcendence coming out here. Is RCK able to benefit from the healing? It doesn't matter. A huge shatter. Everyone was held in place. And Gesture brings the house down.
That is filthy.
This is bad.
Well, if you're Boston, you probably could have gotten aggressive there a little bit earlier. Like, you get the one kill on the Quartermain, right, with the self-destruct. So we can take a look from Gesture's POV. Oh, I mean, this is huge.
I mean, here's the problem for Fusion. It's a lose-lose. He doesn't want to step into the grab. He wants to try and, kill some of the supports that were behind Gesture, but if he doesn't step into the grab, he can't protect his team from his shadow.
Somewhere Reinforced just jumped up in excitement, like to flip his keyboard over, going nuts.
It's me, Smile. Sound barrier for Quartermain here. The Spitfire have to get something done. And yeah, good way to start the fight. Shatter comes in, but Fusion's just toasted before he can really get anything done. No follow-up possible. RCK, they didn't have his rocket boosters or didn't bother. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but it's not going to be enough anyway for Boston. The London Spitfire, they make it costly. They levy heavy taxes. I'm sure there's an Imperial joke in there somewhere, but the Uprising were not able to get to that second checkpoint. We'll be back with the second half of this map in just a moment.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Boston Uprising, their woes continue. Their main tank Fusion's not been able to unleash himself. And the London Spitfire just seem to be very confident, getting aggressive and then pulling back. The disengaged game has been very good. Boston have essentially been boxing at shadows.
I mean, London has just been the way more aggressive team today. They've really done a nice job pressuring Fusions and RCK specifically. A lot of these fights you're seeing, whether it's like an early D-Mech or it's Fusions dropping first. It's a really nice job, London, putting pressure on both those players. London, see what they decide to do on offense. Most likely, Reinhardt, triple tank, triple support. It's been what they've been playing the whole game. It's been working for them thus far. Boston, they look committed to this as well. Where Boston, you saw a lot of different looks during Stage 2. This series, at least, obviously, very early in Stage 3, but they've not run anything but the Reinhardt triple tank, triple support.
Bidoshin out of the gates. Quick Widow play. Don't get too excited.
Yeah.
We'll have a go. Nothing to be found there in a Spitfire. I mean, again, a pick there would be game-changing. Remember, the London Spitfire looking to secure the series right here and now on Eichenwald. They've already won the first 2 maps, and this one's looking pretty darn good for them too. The setup is pretty standard, but the Uprising map, they don't really play aggressively. They really are giving a lot of this space to London.
Yeah, I mean, I know London, they did play aggressive, and then they would back up to the choke, because Boston wants to play on the point straight away. Make this almost like a control type of game, where you just need one fight to take the point.
There it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and they don't really have to, there's no point where they put a huge amount of pressure on London. They're just trading patiently damage. And a Fire Strike, I mean, that's going to be about half of a Brigitte's health there. So, Murdering going down.
But, like, the bad part is, though, if you're Boston, like, if that first kill doesn't go your way, now you're stuck on the point in the disadvantage. Where at least that if you play towards the choke, you have an opportunity to brawl a little bit, trade, maybe you get a 1-for-1. It kind of takes, London, they can't put their foot on the gas and just go.
It looks like Boston are afraid to make a mistake.
If London gets his first pick, you're going to see them just speed boost go right in.
Fusions. Shatter online. Jester took a big hit and got a repair pack in a pinch. That option won't be available again in the next 10 or so seconds. So, damage trades look good. Quartermain this time is going to go down first. And quickly, the Spitfire have to get away, but the Lucio was one that was providing their speed, and they might get caught. Profit down. Fusions to swing for the fence. Jester is able to get away with the help of Transcendence of all things. Why? The Uprising already has 5 ultimates. Why do you want to
Yeah.
Okay.
You'd like to have that one back. But Ocean uses the Transcendence.
Like, there's no risk of giving them more opposite because they are full up. They're pretty much ready to go. You can see that.
Yep.
Okay.
RCK playing in a position a little bit further back to the right here. Color Hex in a position to maybe throw a bomb over the top of the building here. We'll see if they try and go with a little bit of a setup of a play.
Color Hex trying to maintain a line of sight here with Fury. To make sure he knows where the Diva is at all times. Shatter. Oh, that one is denied. Straight into the shield. Fusions. Cool, calm, and collected. Saw that one coming. Gesture has a Discord Orb here. Might be trying to go aggressive. He gets a Zarya bubble, and that Discord Orb is now gone. And a repair pack. A lot being thrown at Gesture right now. And it's a attempt from Bird Drink to shield bash forward. And they've caught Fusions. Nicely done by the Spitfire. They show some patience, and well, RCK this time is going to eat Profit's grab. London Spitfire have to make do with a sound barrier here to self-destruct just to dissuade further aggression, but Fury is still going to get caught out by RCK's bomb. It may not matter though, because there's another Transcendence for Bidoshin. He used it so cheaply last time, but easy come, easy go.
But just like I was talking about, when you play on the point there, the first elimination goes in favor of the London Spitfire. They put some pressure on the Fusions when they use the rally. They're able to take him out. After that, I mean, the only thing that keeps that fight going is RCK eating that grab by Profit. If he doesn't eat that, that fight probably ends way sooner in favor of London. RCK tried to keep him in it. Now, if you're Boston, you got to play close here. You got to dwindle this clock down.
London tried the same thing. It worked out for a while. They forced a lot of ultimates out of Boston. Now they'll look to reciprocate. Gesture knocked forward there. Nicely done by Alamon, trying to get up above them, and Fusions connects with a Fire Strike. Quartermain going to be very singed coming out of that one. There'll be another Fire Strike here for Fusions if he needed it. Oh no, he has ultimate. No need.
Yeah, they thought they had RCK D-Mech there. He was really low. They got a Brigitte stun onto him, and they tried to push him towards the side and not able to make a play. So Shatter comes in.
That
Jester
is-
gets nothing. Gets stunned up. Repair pack though available.
Yeah. Just having to play safe here though. Birdring taking the brunt of that damage, and here comes a Graviton Surge here. Transcendence for both teams, both Persia and Ocean entering the Iris. And now we reset in this fight. Color Hex and his opposite number, Prophet, are very well charged up, and it's a grab from Color Hex. Placement, excellent. And still no kills just yet, but they will come. Great grab from Color Hex, and they are playing the San Francisco Shock style.
And this is just what you wanted to see if you're an Uprising fan. So we're at 3 minutes on the clock, a minute now gone by. So you do have some ultimates still available to use. They back up. They probably want to give some space here and then allow them to go in with the rally. So just want to group up, get reset. RCK also with the bomb here to use. So they're going to allow a little bit of progress here, just getting the payload around the corner.
Gesture getting a bit of damage there, hoping to bait something, and there it is! He gets Fusions to go a little bit too aggressive. Busy swinging the hammer, and Gesture. Rumble in the jungle now as that Earth Shatter connects beautifully. And the Spitfire are on the road. RCK fell right into that one.
It's still a really good defense, though, from Boston. Like, if you're the Uprising, you have to be really happy about the way you play that there. A minute on the clock. So you see the London Spitfire, they know they're really behind in terms of time. They want to push up. They want to get aggressive. They're going to have just Fury move the payload.
They can't commit to a fight here, though. Fury's too far away as it is. You see Gesture just doing the hop, skip, and jump backwards. And now the Uprising have a chance to try and get to the high ground, but effectively that's been denied from them because London played so far forward. Now they have to play on an even playing field, and this bridge, the things are about to get very messy. There'll be a grab here from both sides. The Transcendence is also... Wow, at the end of the day, it's going to come down to the final points of execution with a lot of ultimates on the line here. Color Hex low. Gesture taking some damage, but he's willing to go forward and try and follow up. And there's the grab. Transcendence now has to be used, but it's too late. It's way too late. Fusions and Color Hex haven't gone down already. RCK Blase will try and keep it going, but there's the Shatter. It's big, and so is the Sound Barrier. The London Spitfire. They dig around in the lucky box for a while and finally come up with the answer. 3-0 in this series, dominant so far, and with one map left, they are cruising.
Yeah, it's a very good defense here from Boston, but London towards the end just turned it on. They get the 3-0 thus far. This last map, though, very important for the Uprising. You see sitting at 7-7 overall. Their map differential, not great right now. They need to get this final map. We'll be back with it after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Into the iris. Into the iris. Into the iris.
It's always an interesting experience seeing London play for the first time each stage because sometimes they just look really rusty. I mean, take stage one of this season, for example, their first match was against the Paris Eternal, and yikes. However, this time they look quite polished after the break.
You know, sometimes, like, it's quite odd to say, but, like, when you're a as team as good as London, it's kind of hard to find the motivation for some games where like the game just comes so easy that you just think, well, we can just go out and do it and be able to beat anybody, where some days it's just not the case, right? You just can't, flip the switch and have that on button, turn on at full speed. Dorado, the final map in this series. I do think though that the scariest part with London is that when they come out and they play like they are today, where let's say you stage 4, right, or you get into like something that like towards the end of the season, let's say it becomes a little bit of a different meta. Like I trust him out of all the teams in the league to pick it up the fastest. Like talent wise, like if we get something like a DPS meta that comes along or something different, like when you have Gesture, Prophet, Fury, Birdring, Ocean, they put whether it's Nuts or Quartermain in there, you have a real good chance to figure it out before some other teams, right? That was one of the biggest things how they ended up winning last year. If Brigitte gets thrown into play and they're able to figure it out, use it pretty effectively towards the end of the season.
London are probably one of the most organic teams that I know in terms of that. Obviously, they do take a lot of coaching insight, but they play a lot from instinct and intuition.
Yeah.
And sort of mentioned that we heard from their coaching staff that they kind of wanted a little bit more structure in more recent times and some more hands-on coaching. But in the past, they've just, I like this little trick. Ooh, Kelsey.
Do it again.
Yeah, you can get up on the sign, obviously, get the high ground. I mean, being able to do that as Zarya is a big deal, and you don't have to go all around the left-hand side the long way. We're going to have to do that now. So, they kind of telegraph this move, and the Spitfire will be ready to receive them here.
Better chance coming from the stairs or down through the window than through the initial choke, though. You're just forcing the other team to have some different, those sight lines, right? You can't just kind of spam orbs through the initial choke.
Yeah, also Reinhardt can't shield both approaches effectively. Damage trades can go more in your favor if you're clever about your peaks. Keep an eye on some of those ultimate numbers ticking up here. Most importantly, the Zenyatta's and the Reinhardt's Gesture is well ahead currently. And Bedosian, the whole point of having, pushing 2 angles here is to give good sight lines for your Zens. Fusion's playing the statue now, and that is good space created, but he can't overstay his welcome. Shatter! Connection there on towards Fusion's. RCK gets stunned up after the fact here, and that is a front line in turmoil. Transcendence has to be used from Bedosian here. Persia goes for his one later. As Birdring gets charged against the wall, the healing wouldn't have saved him anyway. Gesture knocked forward. Nice positioning by Alamon to secure that kill.
Yeah, when you lose Birdring, you don't have that big burst heal that comes from Brigitte, so Gesture in a world of trouble there is Boston. They'll take our first point. It's interesting. It's like, would you be surprised if Boston won this map? No, not really with the last map, but I think it was Brent who was talking earlier.
Yeah, how often does it happen?
How often does it happen? I feel like a lot of the times we don't really see like those 4-0 sweeps anymore when teams get to this point.
Well, I think the Shanghai Dragons have had one in their history as a team. Just the one. Here we go, the push forward. Okay, off the high ground. Boston, look, they go the long way around, but yeah, I mean...
He's everywhere. Like Fury, you don't even see him there. He's not even on the screen. When we're watching Color Hex.
He's in the system. It was like that old Reaper bug where you could teleport into walls and come out of them. Yeah, it's like
18 patches in a row where it was like Reaper to get here. It's like, wait, what? This guy had 1,000 hours.
Or that workshop mode where they made it so Reaper can use his Wraith Walk to go through walls. Either way, very hard to avoid getting your grabs eaten by Fury, but that's the kind of player he is. Such diligence, and then he turns his defensive capabilities on their head and provides moments like that. Alamon, well, he gets micronized.
But I think it was great that we saw that from Color Hex's POV, because you can see, when we see Fury eating these, Graviton Surges, right? They're such big plays. Transcendence here used by London. They want to get aggressive, keep everybody alive. Transcendence now used by Boston as they want to push forward.
Oh, the timing
Shatter.
is perfect from
Sound Barrier, though, is great.
That is intuition, though, to know when to bring that hammer on down. And still, looks like they've staved that off. Boston tried the same thing when they all got knocked down by Gesture with the Sound Barrier, but still the line of Spitfire able to back up on this one. There's some healing to be done, but Rally is helping that.
Yes, I know. As soon as that big Shatter came down from Fusions, you got a nice Sound Barrier there from Quartermain. Birdring using Rally, deterring the really quick push that could have came through there from Boston. But now you can see when you have a Color Hex playing with this grab, Fury's nowhere even on the screen. You have to use it eventually. Now he uses it, connects with this one.
Birdring down early here. Counter grab coming out from the Spitfire. That one wasn't needed either. Gesture quickly going to secure the kill on Blase, and great timing on the Transcendence here. Color Hex is not going to be able to get away. He was just a little bit too far cut forward a Fusion shield when the Shatter came down. And that'll be that. Again, the Spitfire could push forward in much the same fashion as they did on Eichenwald.
They have to back up a little bit, though. Or they're trusting that Birdring is going to get here in time. No, they're going to have to back up. They need the Brig to play this close. You cannot play this close without the Brigitte, especially knowing the other team. You have to have a good sense that they have Transcendence available here.
Fury drives his mech into the ground to make sure it doesn't go as far as it otherwise would have when he lets it rip. Self-destruct doesn't claim any kills, but Blase went down in the flurry of punches. As Prophet claims one. But you losing Jesse here means that really the Spitfire don't have a leg to stand on or a shield to stand behind. And they're going to have to use physical cover instead of a Reinhardt shield now to get away.
Yeah, they used the self-destruct of Fury to split some players up. And they actually got a stun on a Blase, and they were able to take him out. It's just Gesture gets displaced a little bit too far. And
I mean, Alamon's doing a good job of trying to match Quartermain's ability of, let's just say, involuntarily repositioning enemy Reinhardts. Prophet has a grab, but the Uprising positioned on the high ground like this is going to be a little bit tricky. There'll be no one to follow up on it if he lets it go onto the breach. He'll need to wait for Boston to drop down, which will happen. Boston have a minute and 15 left. They do not have time to dally.
Yeah, I mean, they have to push Cart, right? They're going to have to jump down to, like, RCK. Look, he's just pressure him out. Yep.
Again, if his rocket boosters aren't available, if they don't come up until a couple seconds later, that would have been it. But there it is. Prophet's going to lay the grab in and Fusions. Sound barrier, great timing from Alamon there. Over the top comes a self-destruct, but their Uprising completely unperturbed now into Transcendence from mid-ocean here, but Color Hex is very charged up post-grab. And the sound barrier had to be used by the Spitfire. Both teams matching ultimates here. This one could hurt. Fury over the top. Alamon caught a little bit too slippery for his own good. He was off doing some skating. And now Boston have to back out again. That sound barrier means that they can't access the back line the London Spitfire, or not having a Lucio for speed boost.
And this will be fun. One final fight. You see everybody pretty much ultimates drained across the board. Shatter for Gesture, Shatter for Fusion.
Yeah, that's where it's going to be.
It's been Gesture all game who's been landing these huge shatters.
Once again, it falls to the Reinhardts to pave a way forward for their teams. Oh, Persia caught! The high ground play from Prophet was so nasty. Gesture, I mean, the shadow doesn't even really matter that much after the fact. Both Ryans put their shields up. Blase low. RCK is going to get caught out there, and the payload will still move a little bit further. Birdring almost got caught off by guard by Color Hex. That right click from Nazaya could have been his head. But there it is, grab on the corner. That's an insurance policy and nothing more. The London Spitfire again only concede one checkpoint on Dorado.
And Prophet and Fury both do not die in that first half. It's quite interesting. RCK as well finishes with 0 deaths. Just
also 0 final blows.
Yeah, it's I mean, in this kind of meta, you're really looking at like Brig, Rhine, Zarya, like putting down a ton of the damage. Where
Prophet shut that down from the high ground, picking Persia off. We're seeing a lot more of that kind of play from Zaya's, which means that Lucio's getting those displacements is becoming much more important. Not only now are you tasked with knocking the enemy Reinhardt into the depths of your team, but also denying Zaya the opportunity to use those perches for a lot of damage and quick grabs.
It's even the displacement that doesn't directly result in a kill of the player, being forced out of a position. Because for argument's sake, right? Like, Quartermain comes in, boops Fusions or boops like Persia out of the way. Like, it may not result in a kill on one of those two players, but everybody else has to get out of position now to save that said player. So, like, by knocking Persia out of position, do you now get a DMech on RCK because he has to fly and use Matrix, everybody else coming out of the way, and you get a elimination on that player? Because then you're getting almost like a 2-for-1, right? Because when you get the DMech on RCK, you're also going to get Persia as well.
And bear in mind as well, when you're attacking especially, you're relying more on your Reinhardt shield than you are in physical cover because you don't have the time to just wait around corners and hope something's going to happen. So when your Reinhardt's knocked out of position, your safety net is gone, the cover you thought you had has been denied from you, and then you're subject to getting burnt down by Zarya like we saw from Prophet, or a salvo of Zenyatta orbs, or whatever have you. The Uprising, this is definitely much more of a forward position here than we normally see. Okay, interesting. So they opt to go back into the choke. I wonder if they retake the ground on the left. I don't think so. Okay.
Well, we do see some teams play like really close on defense, like on the cart, which gives them the 2 fights. Both these teams opt to really play like a 1-fight game for point A. It's you see though Boston, they want to meet them up on the high ground. So
Alamon has to be careful. Blase also low, and he's caught out. Sometimes the stray fire strike, especially when you're playing in a choke, it's so easy for Gesture to get value with those. And very hard to dodge them at the speed they travel in such a short space. And Boston Uprising, it's an odd commitment, Matt. Do you think they're better off backing down the stairs, giving some space and giving themselves some time to heal?
I mean, they get a second fight. I mean, so kind of how I was talking about playing close and then getting that second fight. That time they decide to take the fight up on the stairs, build some ultimate charge. I mean, but still, I mean, you'd like to last a little bit longer than that, right?
Is this a great second fight, though, Matt?
No, I mean, you're walking into a Shatter, Rally, I mean, London's going to have everything. They probably only need to use 1-2 max to win this.
Looks like the Uprising went for a speed loose play of their own to try and catch the Spitfire off guard. Didn't work. Spoilers. Here's the Transcendence getting forced out at no real cost to the Spitfire, Matt. Shatter comes down. That one is avoided there. Fusions is able to duck inside the building, and he needs to protect Blase right now. Quartermain was looking to get cheeky and find the pick off and a grab here. The Uprising have very little respond to it except the latent effects of that rally. With Alamon going down now, there's even less AoE healing for them, and it's just not enough.
Yeah, I mean, they end up using Shatter there, which does end up having Bidoshin use Transcendence, which I was like, oh, you're pretty much going to save at this point, right? As you lose RCK, the grab comes out right away, but they end up using their Shatter. You trade Shatter for a Transcendence. It's a good trade towards the end of the fight there for Boston, but...
You can't be satisfied as Boston, though, from making London use ultimates when they're so close to finishing the map. Like, you need to win that fight. You need to start burning their clock down. The Uprising haven't won any fights here on this defensive side.
Yeah, it's really been all London. I mean, that early first fight, you know, the London Spitfire, the team that win it, which you do expect, you know, the attacking team to take those first fights when they play that close.
But Ocean's positioning indicates that they want Boston to commit here. They're trying to bait them pushing around the corner. And they haven't really done that to their credit. Boston have stayed fairly safe. Now they come forward. Jester caught out. Nicely done from Boston. That's good patience.
Well, it's also good patience from London as well, as you did have the sound barrier used from the Uprising. London could have easily answered with their own sound barrier, but London now playing for a fight where they have all 3 support ultimates plus the Graviton Surge, which gives them a huge ultimate advantage now.
Look at that. Look at how they denied this high ground. Prophet goes the long way around, and now he has such a powerful Zarya spot. You see, Alamon's trying to boop him off. He actually shields himself, so he can't be knocked down.
And London knows they can be super aggro because they have all of these support ultimates. I mean, when you have the sound barrier and Transcendence to use, plus Rally at the same time, Prophet off the top ropes here.
It is a disaster for the Boston Uprising now. Looks like Fusion's charge didn't carry Gesture far enough to actually get the kill, let alone damage, and the London Spitfire now, again, this is all but done. RCK is going to try and drop down here and do the hamster dance, but how long can he evade his would-be captors? Not long enough, unfortunately. Shatter coming out from Fusion's here. He does connect with Birdring, but Alamon can't stay alive on that payload long enough. Persia now trying to wind back the sands of time, but it's too late for that. Another Shatter into a shield from Gesture, but again, he's got so many of them now, he kind of uses them frivolously enough. Payload gets to the golden box of victory, and it will be the London Spitfire taking this series away. It is a shutout, and by no means was it particularly close.
And I just thought that was such a great exchange there towards the end from London. The sound barrier comes out from Boston, they don't use anything. The next fight, what do? Gesture just runs right at Fusions, forces Rally out from Blase a little bit earlier. London knows they're going to live through it. You have all 3 of those support ultimates, you just layer them properly, and then you get the big grab at the end from Prophet. There's nothing. Whoa, hey, watch yourself there. Ocean falling over.
Well, he's not used to walking, he plays Zen. He's used to floating around, you know what I mean? These feet, he just looks down like, what are these for?
He and someone's falling over himself. A really good ultimate use from London all series long. I thought Quartermain made a big difference today.
It's been a long road for the Spitfire, Matt, to really get a feeling of mastery when it comes to playing 3-3. The public by saying they didn't like it. We hate playing this style. It's not us. We like playing DPS. We like playing snipers. Well, it's taken a while, but they look very, very good. I say this every stage, though. I say it every stage that they're looking really good. But let's hope to see the London Spitfire make me look smart by continuing to show some dominance. But now we're going to head down to the floor with a very special interview, someone we haven't heard from before in the Overwatch League. It's Danny and Quartermain.
Mitch and Matt, thank you very much. Everybody, give it up for Quartermain and London Spitfire for a job well done. Congratulations, you have successfully ended your first match in the Overwatch League and also your first victory. How was that like for you, just personally? Did you feel any added pressure because London Spitfire were the reigning champions last season? Were you nervous at all? 좀 이제 오늘 경기 일단 승리 너무나 축하드리고요. 아무래도 이제 런던이 저번 시즌 챔피언이기도 하고 또 처음 오늘 무대에서 경기를 뛰신 게 맞죠? 네. 그렇기 때문에 조금 더 뭐 긴장감이나 이런 게 좀 있으셨나요?
네, 당연히 긴장 어느 정도 했고요. 하지만은 경기에 영향은 가지 않도록 제가 최대한 그걸 생각하면서 오늘 플레이했습니다. 네.
Right, of course, because it was my first time, I did feel a little bit nervous, but I feel like I played, I concentrated so that it wouldn't be a bother to our team and wouldn't get in the way of us winning. And that's why you guys won. So again, congratulations. And also, today, before you came in, it was Nuss who was playing the Lucio role, the support role for the London Spitfire. Quartermate, if you could kind of explain to me, how is your playstyle different from Nuss? 이제 너스 선수와 쿼터메인 선수와의 좀 플레이스타일 좀 뭔가 좀 다른 점이 있다면 좀 어떻게 다른가요?
일단 제가 연습하면서 느낀 게 너스 선수가 되게 머리로 플레이한다고 해야 되나? 되게 막 설계 같은 거 엄청 잘하고 그러는데 저는 그런 거에 좀 부족해가지고 그런 부족한 대신에 이제 좀 루시우로 할 수 있는 플레이 뭐 뿜망치나 아니면은 뭐 밀쳐주는 그런 플레이를 좀 많이 신경 써서 그게 좀 다르다고 생각합니다.
I feel like the biggest difference for me between me and Nuss would be that Nuss usually plays his playstyle is very intelligent. He uses his head a lot when he's in game and trying to play with the team. For me, I sort of lack that intelligence, but I do have a lot of knowledge on Lucio on how to utilize his skins, not skins. I'm sorry, to utilize his skills, and I feel like that's the biggest difference between us. Thank you so much, Quartermain. Everybody, give it up for Quartermain one more time. Alrighty, Mitch and Matt, back to you guys.
Are you kidding me, bro? Lucio's got some bomb skins. I want to utilize those ones as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about Lucio skins. I don't play Lucio at all, so
look,
say anything.
I mean, great to hear from Quartermain.
Yeah,
the guy, cool. I mean, it's been a day for like veteran Overwatch players finally getting the debuts in the Overwatch League. Obviously, Gods, Sharik, and now Quartermain. These guys have been around since 2016. Really been putting the work in. He looks great. He says he doesn't think he's very intelligent, Matt, but I mean, he looked very well for the rest of London.
They look perfectly fine there. I mean, they look great on their engages, right, using the speed boost, and I think that's kind of what he means, right? Like, maybe Nuss has a better grasp of the overall game, but I think in Lucio's kit specifically, like when he used certain abilities and whatnot, that's where he feels like he can bring the biggest strength to this team.
It definitely doesn't seem like Quartermain suffers from any form of analysis paralysis, though. He's straight on in there, so perhaps that's a good thing and a positive with his kind of play. We need to crown ourselves a player of the match, brought to you by Omen by HP. Definitely a few candidates here, but I have to say one player who's been enabled by Quartermain is Gesture, looking very good in a matchup where he had to be the dominant Reinhardt player.
I only said Gesture was the player of the match because I thought they would use the B-roll of him dabbing on the way in again, but they didn't. So now I want to give it to somebody else. No, I'm kidding. Gesture was a beast all series long. We talked about how I know maybe like his Reinhardt's not his best tank, but I think like as you saw, it's definitely getting better. I think you take a look at his stats from just stage 2, throw stage 1 out the books, his Reinhardt was pretty good in stage 2. And I think the more Reinhardt he's kind of forced to play up until potentially like a meta shift or something like that is only going to benefit London in the long term, right? If he can get better at this hero, we know he's great on Orisa, we know he's great on Winston. It's like now if you throw this in the mix, he's a very, very strong player.
Again, you definitely need to have that one under your belt. You'll be able to pull out a solid Reinhardt performance here. A lot of those shadows definitely looking like more intuition than anything else, but they will improve, I'm quite sure. Coming up next, though, we've got more fantastic Overwatch coming out at the speed of light. It's going to be the Houston Outlaws versus the NYXL. It'll be an interesting one, there's no doubt about it. Stick around for that one, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Overwatch League.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey man, what's up?
You need anything for today?
Nah man, I think I'm set.
Big day today, man?
Yeah, huge. Let's play some Overwatch.
Into the iris. Into the iris. Into the iris.
Огонь по готовности.
Into the iris.
Огонь по готовности.
Pass into the iris.
Огонь по готовности.
Welcome back from the break, ladies and gentlemen, to the second match of the day. We're about to hop into the third one here. New York versus Houston Hex. It's going to be good.
Is it?
It is.
Is it really?
It is, because New York